everybody, welcome back to Messy Vegan Baker. I'm Christina, and Happy New Year! Because it is the new year, we are going to be making, drumroll please, pumpkin pie! I know what you're thinking. White girl season is over, pumpkin can't come back until October or November, whenever it comes out. But listen, I haven't had pumpkin pie yet this year, and that is like my favorite pie ever, and you only get it one time a year. So we are going to be making that today because I didn't have time, so it's better late than never. And I even, we have these pre-made vegan crusts, and I bought the silken tofu because the recipe that we're going to be using is from How to Bake Everything because I love that cookbook. And yeah, it calls for the tofu instead of the eggs and the milk. So really, this kind of is like a healthy pie. So if you're doing like the new year, new me thing, it could work out, you know? Okay, change of plans. So, as I was talking about how the pie crust, the pre-made pie crust was vegan, I double checked. Turns out it has lard in it, which is really gross, and not vegan. So, we have to make our pie crust by hand, or like from scratch, which is fine. It'll be a great start to the new year. I've never made pie crust. I'm really nervous because I know a lot of people have said that it's super finicky, but we have our lovely cookbook, and hopefully we will do this correctly. So I have the sugar, salt, and flour already pre-measured and put in here, and we're just going to put the cover on. Figured it out. It actually has a vegan pie crust recipe in this book, which I love, especially because, like I've said, from what I've heard, pie crust can be very finicky, which, like I said, we have all the dry ingredients in here. We're just going to pulse it to mix it really quickly. And then I have the coconut oil in the fridge because one thing you need to make sure is that the dough is cool enough. You don't want the butter, or in our case the oil, to melt too much because then it makes that light, flaky crust, which is exactly what we want. And we're going to add the oil and pulse until it is barely blended and crumbly. So again, if you don't have a food processor, you just kind of work the dough in by hand. If you've watched the Great British Baking Show, you have probably seen them do this a lot of different times. But yeah, that feels lovely. 3 tablespoons of ice cold water. And yes, according to the recipe, it is very important that it is ice cold, probably to keep the butter from melting so much. Stir process for about 5 seconds. That seemed legit. Until the dough begins to clump together, which is exactly what is happening here. But it looks nice and little clumps and whatnot. Okay. And I want to add like half a teaspoon, only because, like I've said a lot of other times, I'm high altitude and so everything is just drier. Okay, I'm adding half a tablespoon just to make sure that this dough doesn't dry out. This looks beautiful actually, lots of big clumps. I'm happy with it. You're gonna make it into a disc shape. Now, it's in this lovely pie shape. It's in a disc shape, and then we're gonna freeze it for 10 minutes. Now we're going to, we have our lightly floured surface, roll it out. Can't word this, it's hard. Oh shoot. I'm guessing my dough is way too dry because it's just cracking and crumbling. It's not rolling out. I'm gonna add a little bit more water and then refreeze. Hopefully that doesn't screw this up, but we're gonna try it. Okay, so I added a little bit more water to the dough, and it's a lot wetter. So I'm hoping this works, but it's still really, really cold. Like, I don't think it's gonna roll very well. Give it a minute. Oh yay, it's not cracking. This pie is really small. Like, you're supposed to be able to make it the circumference plus 2 inches, but have it be no thicker than 1/8 of an inch. Interesting. Also, the middle of the dough is great, but then you get to the edges and they're crumbly and they're cracking. I don't know, is this like a vegan specific problem because we don't have like butter or... Okay, so pressing the edges together actually worked really well, so yay! Guys, we might actually have a pie crust after all. Then we just have to do the baking, which is like another whole nother challenge of its own. And in case you're wondering why I'm rolling it at all different angles, I was told if you keep rotating it, like every time you roll it, it helps make it a very nice circle. Actually beautiful. Now, it's a perfect size too. Yay! We do have some more cracking, so I'm just gonna do my cool little nifty trick where you squish it together. I'm a little worried that it's gonna be a super dry crust, but on the bright side, it's a super wet filling, so maybe that will help it to not be so dry. As good as it's gonna get for now, especially because the more I like squish it in, the more flour is gonna get on the edges, drying it out even further, ironically. So I'm gonna take a quick little picture of this. Perfect. Now is the other fun part where we get to put this in here. I'm nervous. We're gonna just... It's not too bad, I don't think. Okay, yay! Then you put this like so. Guys, I did it! It's all ready! Oh wait, there's a hole. Well, a crack more, but... Okay. So I'm a little nervous about this crust, but I made it from scratch. So we're gonna put this in the fridge for 15 minutes to help it firm up, especially, I don't know if regular pies have to do this. They might anyways, but with vegan I know you have to because it's coconut oil, so it's melting faster. So we're gonna stick this in the fridge and I will see you after that. My baby has been in the fridge for a while, so it should be all nice and cool. So we're just gonna stab some forks, some fork holes in it, I guess. And then I have some aluminum foil and I buttered it all up, gave it lots of compliments. Get it? Anywho, but really I put lots of butter on it, vegan butter. I'm gonna put this in the bottom. Oh, and the oven is heated to 425. I want aluminum foil with the one side touching the pie crust buttered, because then you put either uncooked rice or beans, or if you have these cool little pie weights, I guess they're called, because that, I guess, helps keep it to cook evenly like a nice pie crust. So we're gonna just pour these in. Might be using all of them. Okay, that looks good. Alright, so this is all ready. The oven is ready, so I'm gonna bake mine for like 10 minutes and see how it's starting to brown. While this is baking, we're finally gonna get to do the filling. Yay! Timer for 5 minutes. I'm gonna check it / turn it, and then we'll see. So now that we have finally gotten through all of the crust debacles, we are going to make the filling, which is way easier, I promise. You just need a blender, and then this one has a specific vegan recipe, which I'm excited about. So instead of the eggs and the cream, we're actually just going to use silken tofu. So look at that. This is a healthy-ish pie. There's pumpkin, and there are spices, which are good for you, and there's lots of protein. Totally great. And we're just sticking it all in the blender. Now we need ½ cup of sugar. Okay, now this calls for ½ teaspoon of cinnamon, but I honestly, they never put enough spices in these. Like, I'll follow the recipe and it's just bland. It's not bland, it's just not like flavor, you know? So we're gonna do a little more than ½ a teaspoon of cinnamon, because cinnamon is amazing and it is good for you. Ginger, which this one we will probably follow, and a little more than 1/4, just because ginger is kind of an interesting, it doesn't smell like it should go in sweet stuff, you know? That's what always confuses me. 1/8 of nutmeg. So we'll just do 1/4 because, so I mean, if you want, follow the recipe and the amount of spices they put in there, but if you like a lot of flavor, I highly suggest you kind of just ignore that. Also, it says to put allspice in here, but I don't have that, so I'm gonna add a teensy bit of clove because this stuff is potent. It also doesn't call for pumpkin pie spice, which, excuse me, I get that there's pumpkin in there, but like, what? So we're gonna add some of this in here. Added about a teaspoon. Okay, so we need a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then 1.5 cups of canned pumpkin puree. Oh yes! I think we're gonna be using this entire can of pumpkin, and that is the best feeling ever. Okay, so it's a little more than what we need, but because it's not much more, we'll just scoop it on in there. Now, for the vegan part. We probably will be adding more spices to this, but I'm gonna blend it and taste it just to make sure it tastes good. So the pie is done baking for now. So I lowered the temperature to 375, and the pie is just cooling on a pie rack right now. And once this is done, I think we just pour it in and stick it in the oven again. Okay, so I'm gonna add a little bit more nutmeg, cinnamon, and pumpkin spice. I'm also gonna add a little bit more salt, just a smidge. Took a while, but we have a lovely and delicious smelling pumpkin puree. There is a little bit of cracking on this side, but for my first pie crust ever, I'm actually really happy with this. I almost wonder if it needs to be baked a little more, but too late now. We're just gonna pour this in here. But as I've said before, I've never made a crust before, especially from scratch. I don't think I've ever really made pies before, at least like not by myself. I've never made pumpkin pie, so I'm gonna give myself a big pat on the back. Okay, this is my beautiful pie. We're going to bake this. I'm gonna put this on a baking sheet. I think it helps bake everything all the way through. Probably do 20 minutes, flip it, 20 minutes, just kind of keep an eye on it. You'll know it's done when the mixture is firm along the edges, but then it's jiggly in the middle. Okay, so it's done, yay! I put the pumpkin pie in there. It was starting to burn at the top, so I put aluminum foil over it. And then the middle, like, it wasn't jiggly, none of it was, and so I thought, well, I guess I'll put it in for a little longer, but then I think it's cooked because it said if the inside is slightly jiggly, but the outside is not, it's cooked. But mine was only in there for 25 minutes. So it might be slightly undercooked, especially in the middle. However, it is holding its form or its shape. So I think part of it could be that it's vegan, maybe. I don't know. The other part could be that I'm high elevation. The crust actually turned out pretty well. It smells amazing. It is kind of oozing a little on the side, so I guess it could have been in the oven for a little longer, but again, it's holding its shape, so especially if you put it in the fridge, it should be fine. I'm just gonna try it and let you guys know. There's kind of a bitter taste at the end. That low-key might have been the cloves. My bad. But overall, it does taste pretty good. This recipe doesn't call for much sugar, and part of me kind of wants to up that next time. But the crust actually did really well. Like, I think that was surprisingly a winner. I mean, it stayed together, it's cooked. Overall, I think that's pretty delicious. I wouldn't put the cloves in there because I think that's what's giving it that slightly bitter taste. Other than that, though, it is quite good, especially considering it's my first pie. I'm excited. I'm honestly really shocked about the crust because that's really difficult. It wasn't perfect, but it was a great start for this. And I think I might do like a month where I just do pies, because that might be kind of fun, especially in the summer. We can do like coconut cream, strawberry, or I don't know, something exciting and new. I hope you liked this video. Yes. I don't know what I'm trying to say. But thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, hit the little thumbs up button. If you want to subscribe, you know what to do. And yes, if you have any tips or tricks on this, especially the vegan pies, let me know. If you make this, tag me in it, Messy Vegan Baker. And I do believe that's all I have to say. So have a great rest of your day. I will see you sometime next week. Bye.